Do you treat yourself like someone you really love and have affection for? Do you take care of yourself the way a real caregiver would? Can other people see how to love you by watching how you love yourself? Today we're going to talk about loving yourself. Let's get into it. Hello everyone, Wallace Russell from CoachWallaceRussell.com. The definition of the word love that we're going to use today is a strong affection for another, arising out of kinship, personal ties, benevolence, or common interest. It is one thing to love someone inside your heart, inside you. But for that to be real, there needs to be evidence of that manifestation of your love. I do not deny your feelings. They are real, but love as a thing has proof in the real world. So let's talk about evidence of love. Love first requires action. And it's not just action in the beginning, but it must be ignited, sustained, and reinfused to stay alive. If all you have of love is what you feel and it stays inside you, then you have to keep feeding it yourself. And eventually you'll run out of what you feed it with. Or that fire will die out, or even worse, can fester and turn into some terrible negative emotion. So love needs to be maintained, and there are things you have to do to keep it going. So let's get right into it. How do you love yourself? Well, let's start with some examples. We love our pets, right? I remember my first dog, and I had a dog as an adult that would just love me unconditionally. Like if I woke it up at 3 o'clock in the morning and it only had 2 hours of sleep and I wanted to play, it was all in. Anything I wanted to do, that pet was there for me. But how I loved that pet was that I would do anything to make it happy. Not only that, I would just enjoy being around it, and I would do things to make sure it was taken care of. If it got sick or hurt or didn't feel bad, I made sure we went to the doctor, we got medicine. If that medicine needed to be taken at a certain time, I made sure of that. I made sure the meals were there. I made sure the water was there. So the way I love my pet is a way you can love yourself. Make sure that your needs are met. Make sure that you feed yourself properly, medicate yourself properly, get the right amount of sleep, as an example. Another example of how to love is the way we love our children. Again, we make sure their needs are met daily. We make sure that our children do not miss meals. We make sure that we do things to make them feel good if they're suffering. We make sure to give them hugs, or at least we ought to, right? And we make sure to give them whatever it is they need to make it through the day. And if we see they're faltering, we reach out for them. We also forgive their mistakes. Children are mistake-making machines. And sometimes it's not a mistake, sometimes it's on purpose, but it is their way in life to find out what the barriers and limits are, to see if they should reach out farther and be more, to see what the rules of the universe are. And in doing so, they often offend us, embarrass us, and a lot of other things, but we forgive them. Yes, we may punish them, but the purpose of punishment is to teach them so that they understand there are limits and consequences. But we don't harbor negative emotions, we let them go. Another thing about children is their love is not required. Oh, sure, we love it when they show that they love us, but we do for them not because they love us, but because we love them. So we don't require a certain affection. We like to have it, and we may try to foster it, but it's not required for us to make sure that their needs are met. So if we look back at ourselves, we say, do we make sure our needs are met? Do we forgive our mistakes? Being in life, we make a lot of mistakes as human beings. And we may have to forgive other people, or we may choose not to. But for ourselves, there is no service, there is nothing served by punishing ourselves. It doesn't make our life better. It doesn't teach us a lesson. The purpose of punishment is to teach, or to make someone else whole that has been made less than whole by our actions. But when we punish ourselves, there is no benefactor. There is no gain. And therefore, there is no value in punishing ourselves. So like we forgive our children, we need to learn to forgive ourselves, let it go, and move on. We sometimes have significant others in our lives, whether that be boyfriend, girlfriend, just friends, wife, whatever it is, your best friend. Let's just call them our mate. We do things to make our mate smile. Their happiness is important to us. And we love them not out of debt, but because we choose to. Sometimes we can't help it. But in all of those things, we love them freely. Not because they were born into it, not because of some obligation. We love them freely. Do we love ourselves like that? Do you do something each day to make yourself smile? Do you do some work daily to make yourself happy? And do you love yourself not because you ought to, but because you choose to? So what can we learn from this? We should do things every day to make us happy. We should also take care of ourselves. Self-care is a form of self-love. So maintaining good health, good shape, good spirits are forms of loving yourself. And if you do that daily, you become in the practice of loving yourself. Forgiving yourself for your mistakes or your shortcomings is a form of loving yourself. Again, punishing yourself serves no one and does no good. Another way to love yourself that I didn't mention previously is to live a life of gratitude. And what I mean by gratitude is appreciation. Recognize that the things you are grateful for are proof that God or the world or the universe or whatever you believe in loves you. So taking the time to be grateful for the things that happened and have happened and are happening in your life is a way of acknowledging and recognizing daily that you are loved. And sometimes just the recognition of being loved opens the floodgates, because some of us don't realize we're loved and therefore suffer because we don't know that we are loved and we can't feel it. So being in gratitude, taking a few moments and choosing to speak or acknowledge those things you are grateful for is a form of not just loving yourself, but allowing yourself to feel love that's always trying to reach you that you may be blocking. Another thing about gratitude is to notice when others are making an effort to do nice things for you. That's a form of loving you. They may not even know they're doing it on purpose, but they are loving you in some small way. And if you can recognize that, if you can see it and take a moment to appreciate and acknowledge it, you will realize that you are receiving love. This is another way. Not looking at that, not recognizing those things blocks you from getting the love that is in the universe trying to reach you. So take a moment and recognize that not only is the world and the universe trying to love you, but people are too. And sometimes we forget that, or sometimes we only see the things that hurt us or make us upset. But if we take the time to see the things that are here for us, oh my goodness, there's so much love for you that is happening right now that I just would love for you to open yourself up to receive. There are also reasons why we often choose not to love ourselves. The most prevalent that I have experienced is because we don't feel like we've earned it. Like maybe we fall short or we don't do enough in the world. But the idea of loving yourself is recognizing that you don't have to earn it, you just get it. The way you love a child, they don't have to earn your love, you give it to them. The way you love an animal that is your pet, they don't have to earn your love, you just give it. The way you love a significant other or someone you really care about, you don't have to earn it, you just give it, and you're happy to give it. So you should love yourself that way. Don't look at, I haven't earned it, or don't look at, I haven't worked hard enough. Stop worrying about what you haven't done and give yourself the love you get to have simply because you exist, simply because it is woven into the fabric of the world. And even though you don't recognize it or experience it, it's happening and you can experience it, but don't get in the way of it. What do they say often? Don't block your blessings. Sometimes we might choose not to love ourselves because we think we already do. We think that, oh, I'm giving myself enough, I'm doing enough for myself. But when you love yourself, or when you love someone else, as an example, they may already have a great life. You still try to add. You still try to do more. You still try to bring a special moment there. And if you were in the habit of living that life for yourself, saying, what special will I do for myself today? How will I bring myself happiness? I'm not saying your whole life has to be about yourself. That's not what I'm about at all. But if you lived an entire day and you haven't taken a moment, a few minutes to open yourself up and recognize where love is happening, or to do something to make you happy or to show that you are loved, you are missing out on something, and you shouldn't. What are some of the benefits of loving yourself? Well, one is that you can feel loved anytime you want. You don't have to earn it, and you don't have to wait for it. You also don't have to feel love-starved, or how young people say it, you don't have to feel thirsty. People feeling sorry for you isn't love, but people who love you can feel sorry for you. So make an effort to recognize the difference. But if you are seeing love in the world directed at you, if you are recognizing it, then it takes some of the edge off. Then you don't have to grasp desperately for it. You can just be open to receiving it. Another benefit to loving yourself is that other people can see how you love yourself and do something similar for you. How you love yourself is unique to you. The things that make you happy are not the same across the board, and how love shows up and is received is different for every individual. But if someone can see how you love yourself, the things you do to make yourself happy, the things you do to treat yourself, it invites them to do so. And it gives them the opportunity to know that they're going to be successful in their efforts to give you some love. If someone doesn't seem to love you right, it might be because they don't know how, because it's not common sense. They need to see how to do it. And you can't just say it. They need to see what you do in your life. Children don't always listen to your words. They see what your actions are, and they act accordingly. So if you are not acting like a person that loves themselves, other people, let's just say it would be difficult for them to see it, let alone act on it. And how can you expect anyone to love you the way you want to be loved if you don't appear to love yourself? Loving yourself is an important part of making your way through your life. Do you love yourself freely and without reservation? Is it obvious by the things you do, the actions you take? Are you loving yourself enough? What are you doing today to love yourself? How is it done? Show me. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Please leave any comments or suggestions in the box below. There's also a link there to set up a free consultation if you are so inclined. As always, I appreciate the time you've taken to watch this video. I hope some of it has helped you. If it has, please feel free to share it. And we'll see you next time.